Riot was never particularly known for having a stellar balancing team, as their track history with their previous games even says as much. A lot of the time, the balancing is in the right direction, but just falls short of being acceptable in execution. Most of the time, they understand that one thing needs to be changed either with a buff or a nerf, but they don't understand why they need that change in the first place, and don't make a good effort to study the best possible way to balance it. It often ends with a lot of shifting around with values instead of actually getting creative solutions, and a high risk of over-buffing or over-nerfing. There's been a lot of questionable changes in Valorant over the years, and here are just some of the most controversial ones. Chamber's nerf in version 5.12 was way overdue, but even the most dedicated of his haters would agree that it ended up being a bit too much. To recap, his trip isn't global anymore, and his teleportability was altered in such a way that it only gave him one anchor that he could teleport to as long as he was within its range. This meant that his movement was severely limited, and on top of all of that, his trip couldn't cover out far into the essential map space anymore. His ultimate went from being a crazy good operator that inflicted slowness with a Marshal's fire rate that costed only 7 ultimate orbs, to essentially just being a regular operator with some slowness at 8 ultimate orbs. The nerfs felt like overkill because they essentially just nerfed every aspect of his kit with no regard for playability or synergy with his intended role as a sentinel. His pick rate tanked so much to the point where Harbor is being used more than him now, and apart from a few map picks, Cypher and Killjoy are heavily preferred over him due to their utility. Chamber basically went from a meta-defining monster and the strongest agent we've ever seen to one of the worst ones in just one update. The community's take on this is divided. Some firmly believe that it was an extreme nerf which made Chamber unusable, and others say that it was the right thing to do as it was too OP. No matter what, it certainly wasn't the only big change Riot did.
Wait, this alarm bot sucks! Oh, what? What? It takes forever.
5 gift.
Oh no. Wait, Chamber is awful. No way you're playing Chamber. It's so bad. I just played that Swift play with Chamber and it's awful.
Jett is one of, if not the most used and famous agent of all of Valorant. There are people that even use applications to insta-lock her.
Oh, Ascent? What the f? Wait, am I loading in slowly? Oh, they're using an app to lock in faster.
And because of this love for her ultra-aggressive abilities, Jett has been nerfed a number of times since the initial launch of the game due to being way too strong. Some of which include the reduced duration and charges of her smokes from 7 seconds to 4.5 seconds, and 3 charges to 2, and the alternate fire on her ultimate no longer refreshing her knives, as well as making it cost 7 ultimate orbs instead of 5. And yet, no other change has ever been so badly received as the nerf to her dash in version 4.08.
The OP part of Jett was that you could play any off angle and you didn't have to risk anything and you didn't have to think about much. I think that people would just pick other duelists more.
Before this patch, she used to be able to dash instantly at any time, but now she can only give herself a short window for when she could choose to do it. It wasn't a particularly bad change in terms of balancing, but this left all Jett players with a bad taste in their mouth. They found that it certainly gave the impression that Jett had been extremely nerfed since the game came out, and the only thing left to do is just remove her from the game so no one uses her.
No, it's impossible. You cannot do the first.
Double.
No, you can't. No, instantly you can't.
You have 1 second.
No, you have a delay.
It's finished.
So if I see someone here, I cannot dash. I can't.
Yeah.
It's finished.
No,
it's
just finish.
Keep the game. Keep. I'll tap for.
And talking about broken features in Valorant, in version 4.0, there was a buff to the Ares that had people scrambling for a nerf quickly. It doesn't seem like much at first, being listed only as a removal of the spin-up and a fire rate increase from 10 to 13. Basically though, it started off at full firing speed while also increasing the amount of bullets it fired, which gave it a massive boost in damage per second. At that time, it was cheaper than the Spectre by 50 credits and performed much better against enemies on full buy rounds, especially since the Ares has high penetration. It was absolutely insane and even messed with the economy balance in the game for a while, not unlike what happened with the Stinger. People just kept buying it every round since it was cheap and made rifles look like a joke against the relentless spamming, so it was of no use to win the first round.
What is this gun? What the f is this?
Footsteps on that guy.
What? Oh my! But despite Riot buffing and nerfing guns and agents in the worst possible ways, there was one specific update that really was controversial. Replication was a special game mode that had everyone on a team pick one agent that all of them would have to play. There was potential for a lot of funny matchups, like constant Sage revives, covering the entire map with Viper's ultimate, and more. It wasn't anything too special, but it was an amusing and casual game mode that was beloved by a lot of players, as it actually made it a fun way to either chill from a losing streak or just enjoy a good time with friends. So you could imagine their reactions when Riot removed it for seemingly no reason in version 6.01. A lot of people thought it was just temporarily removed for the temporary Lotus only mode at the time, but it's been months and there's still no sign of it coming back. And if you've spent hours watching videos and trying lineups by yourself to step up your chances of winning, you surely were pissed by this. Because whenever Riot makes minor HUD changes without notifying the community, as they did in the patch 6.05, it's always bound to be met with disapproval. Not because anyone particularly thinks it's ugly, but because they mess up our beloved lineups. There may be a very vocal crowd of people that are cheering for this, but it runs deeper than one may think. Lineups aren't just for post-plant mollies, they're also essential for recon abilities and other forms of utility. Messing with lineups could mean that your ally initiators like Sova, Fade, and KO have a much harder time landing their scan abilities in order to help the team. Or that your ally Viper or Harbor don't manage to land their orb smokes in the correct spots. Thankfully, they don't really last for long because of the complaints from longtime players, and Riot has already reverted the recent HUD changes as it was causing too much mayhem in the game, especially in the professional scene. Version 5.12, Sage's heal ability was nerfed, and we can say people didn't like it too much. For those who don't know, it used to be a universal heal that restored 60 health whether Sage used it on herself or on her allies. Now, however, Sage can only heal herself for 30 health while being able to heal her allies for 100. Some people do think that this is a good change, saying that it discourages a selfish playstyle and lets Sage play a proper supportive role. Others, however, have said that the amount of healing is the real problem. They rightfully point out that there's not a lot of situations where one person would need a full 100 health of healing. They've also said that 30 heal to self is way too little and doesn't really save Sage later down the line, because it still means you can get killed by one body shot anyway. The Bucky used to be one of the most broken guns in the game, but it went through a couple of nerfs so bad in version 2.06 that it wasn't even worth using anymore. Its damage was considerably nerfed by 2 to 4 per pellet depending on the range, and the alternate fire got the devastating nerf of going from firing 15 pellets to just 5. This made its alternate fire way too difficult to play with, but the primary fire is so inconsistent that even with the reduced spread, the gun itself has too much downtime between shots, to a point where it's much more worth it to play with a shorty instead. It's cheaper by 700 credits and much faster at the very least. A shorty kill tends to give you a better gun anyway, so you're better off taking your chances with that. A lot of people consider the Bucky to be the worst half-buy weapon, especially with how good the Stinger is generally and how strong the Marshall can be in the right situations. Viper has been steadily nerfed over the years as well, but there was also one series of changes that wasn't as well received as the others. In version 5.12, they drastically changed her ultimate and nerfed it to the ground. They decreased the maximum time you can spend outside her ultimate from 15 seconds to 8, increased the smoke integrity regeneration time from 5 seconds to a whopping 25 seconds, and increased the cost from 7 ultimate orbs to 8. This means that she can only spend a few moments outside her ultimate while making the regeneration period for that allotted time absurdly high. This more or less forced Viper players to stay inside her pit constantly, making it hard for them to maneuver around and avoid being killed. Once her location is revealed in a situation where the opposing side has numbers advantage, she's as good as dead. It's a lot easier to kill an enemy Viper inside her ultimate if there's at least 2 of you going in, so you can trade each other out, because she can't even reposition that well anymore. Along with the arrival of version 6.05 came an unexpected change. The headshot text that showed up in the kill banner was removed. It received some mixed feedback, with some people saddened at its removal because they thought it made the headshots feel more impactful, while some simply didn't care, because you could tell if it was a headshot anyway. That said, it's such a minute detail that a lot of people from both sides are pushing for the option to at least make it toggleable so that people can play to their preferences. In version 6.07, Killjoy's ultimate got a new indicator which left a lot of players unhappy. To put it bluntly, it was an eyesore. A massive yellow mark on the screen would appear on top of the countdown and the circle on the map, and it really wasn't necessary. There was enough time and a multitude of indicators to tell you if you're within an enemy Killjoy's ult, so a lot of people complained that it just ended up being more distracting than helpful.
This yellow thing, guys, it's the new Killjoy indicator. I hate it, bro.
KO and Sky used to be much more self-sufficient agents before, even rivaling some duelists in that regard. This is because they could use their flashes for themselves to give them more favorable fights. However, in version 5.07, they were nerfed in ways that de-incentivized pop flashes by essentially reducing the flash duration of close-up flashes, meaning they barely had time to peek off their own flashes. This forced them to play with the team a lot more. Just like the Sage change, people didn't like that Riot was limiting the non-duelist agents to being more supportive types.